Hey guys, welcome back to Bring Back the Girls. We're back. It's been so long, and I am so happy that we have our next guest on our podcast, the one and only Miss Gianna Antico. For those of you who don't know, Gianna is a world champion. She is a fashionista. Her mom and grandma own World Cup. So her experience is widely different from anyone that I've talked to on this podcast thus far. So it's a great episode and you guys are going to love it. She talks about her experience working with varsity, what it was like going back to the gym and seeing the Twinkles. And then we also discuss shooting stars for this upcoming season because she's seen some of the routines. So she gives us some little inside scoop about stars this year, which is very exciting. That's all. I'll stop rambling like I always do, and I'll see you at the end of the video. Welcome back to Bring Back the Girls. We have our next guest, the one and only Miss Gianna Antico.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Lauren.
So we're going to start off with our first question, and that is how you got into cheer and how you became a shooting star.
Well, obviously, the way I got into cheerleading is I was basically born into it. My mother and grandma started this business back in 1994, and I was born in 2001. So from diapers, I was running around World Cup. Surprisingly, the first 5 years of my life, I wanted nothing to do with cheerleading. And all I wanted to do was play soccer and hang out with my brother while he was playing baseball and stuff like that. I was never into the fact of cheerleading and doing it. It just wasn't my thing at the time. And then I met Andrea Lipkiss on the rod floor one day at World Cup. And I was just there with my mom, and then I was just lily-gagging around, and I met Andrea. And I was like, what team are you on? And she was new and she was on Milky Ways. And then you know how young girls are. Yeah, I like ran up to my mom. I was like, I want to be a Milky Way. And it was like the best day ever. And she put me right on. And it was like the best decision I've ever made.
That is so cute. And you and Andrea are still friends.
Yes. And she will be my best friend till the day I die.
I spoke about this on the podcast before, but World Cup, I don't know, I think the progression's a little different due to the way all the levels have changed.
Uh-huh.
But back in the day, there was this progression. You know, you were a Twilight, then is it Milky Way?
Twilight, supernovas, Milky Ways, dippers, twinkles, starlights, shooting stars.
Everyone wants to go through that progression
Yeah.
to become shooting star.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think going up that way, I was very obviously thankful that I was able to go that way because it prepares you honestly for shooting stars in that highest level. I would definitely say the coaching gets much harder when it comes to twinkles. That's when it starts getting a little more
Like
aggressive
amped up, yeah.
and like the yelling. But starlights, I mean, I had like Denise and Angel, OG coaches like from the old days. But the hard coaching definitely on those lower teams helped prepare us for shooting stars.
I think that's one of the best things that they have at World Cup. I
Mhm.
always thought the names were always cute when I was young.
Yeah. I know now they're getting like crazy. I'm like, I don't know how you guys keep up with all these names.
So you were a base too on
So
Ivy.
actually, coincidentally, I based Julia on Twinkles. First year on Starlight, I crossed over to Twinkles. That was my first year basing. I loved it. Absolutely. And of course, having Julia as my flyer, I loved it so much.
Yeah, so after you won Worlds, so you did the whole progression, you made it up to stars, and then you won Worlds.
I based Julia.
Mhm.
When I actually that year I based Julia on Twinkles, and when I was on Starlights that year at NCA, we competed within like 5 minutes between each other. So I like had to compete with Starlights, run off, change, and go with Twinkles, and I won with both teams that year.
That is a great flex.
Yeah, so that was like one of like my most iconic moments. I was like, that was great.
Got up to stars, won Worlds, and then you took a little
Yeah,
hiatus.
so basically the story behind why I left. Obviously, I won worlds and that was great, but I think I was at a point in my life where I was like a sophomore in high school and I just wanted to be more social and be able to hang out with my friends and like have a normal life. My life wasn't like any typical cheerleader's life. Like I had a lot more eyes on me and I couldn't do a lot more things. I just was kind of losing love for it and I just wasn't feeling it anymore. My heart was just not in it. So it was really, really hard to tell my mom that I didn't want to come back. It was like her biggest nightmare. Yeah, I left and I was obviously missing it. Luckily, lasers came around that season. So I just like played around and had fun with that, but that ended up falling through. But someone like was that like joking there, like you should come back on Odyssey. And I like honestly like sat there and I was like, I think I should. You know, I won worlds with stars and I did my stars,
Mhm.
whole thing. So I did it and I loved it. It was definitely so much different. The vibe was different being on a co-ed team, but I made such an amazing friends on the team and I wouldn't have traded it for anything. The only thing that did stink was like I didn't get to like sign the wall with like my team and do like the
Mhm.
whole senior, like I never did my senior speech or anything and like I never had like the wave or like nothing handed down to me. I think it was for the better and I'm happy I was able to have a chance with Odyssey because that was really fun.
I think that's great that you knew yourself because
Mhm.
there's one thing, like when you feel yourself not loving the sport anymore and you're forcing it, it's hard. It's hard, like, because it's a commitment. So you go to the gym every day and it's not
Like after
fun.
like yeah, I know.
Exactly. And you do see your other friends doing things. So it's like, it was really mature of you at that young age to be like, okay, I'm not enjoying this anymore. I won worlds. I did what I like wanted to do. I'm gonna take a step back. Your mom is the owner of the gym and your grandma is the owner of the gym. So I mean, when I met you, I don't know if you know this, but how old are you?
I'm 23 now.
23. Okay, so I'm 25. So I'm like 2 years older than you, but I still was like awestruck by you. I was like, "Oh my God,
Mhm.
that's Gianna Antico." And I got to know you and I'm like, "She's the sweetest,
Yeah.
most humble girl out there." So like after a week, I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
she's the sweetest." What was it like growing up in the gym, the owner's daughter?
It's definitely something I'm very grateful for. It was definitely harder than I imagined it to be, especially at such a young age, because it was hard to process like certain things when we were that young. It's just like now, these years that I'm starting to realize like what actually my life was back then and
Yeah.
how much World Cup had such a huge impact on who I am today. I'm so blessed to have this as my family business because being able to see how powerful and amazing my mother and my grandmother are, like, I hope to be half the people they are one day. It was like really inspiring just to see throughout my whole life. So I never really took them for granted throughout the years of being at World Cup, even though as hard as it was to stay in it when I didn't want to be in it, I still always respected them and the fact that this is a family thing and they just always wanted me to be a part of it. I will always be a part of it. And that's only because of my mom and grandma. And I just see how much work they put into it. But being their, like Joelle's daughter and like Miss P's granddaughter, I was never like called by that
Mhm.
because I am my own person. And that's what I always tried to do. I'm like
Yeah.
very different person compared to my mom and my grandma in ways.
I understand. I remember like when we were younger, you would talk, you were just like, I just wanna,
Yeah.
my thing and not have all of this outside
Mhm.
noise. So I have this question in here. The Rizan, how do you say the last name? The Top Gun?
Oh,
Rosario?
Rosarios. Yeah, so actually I grew up with the Rosarios basically, I
Hmm.
would say. And like for the longest time, they would come to our house like every summer because Victor and Kristen used to like do like a tumbling camp or like some sort of camp at World Cup for like
Okay.
2 days. I don't know if you remember, but like they would come and they would do shooting stars. They would come stay with us for a week, and I was really close with them. We would call each other cousins for the longest time. And it
Oh,
was funny because Demi and Jody were like convinced we were cousins for like forever to like the longest time. And I always knew like we weren't actually cousins, but they were like, no, that's not. I'm like,
When you broke the news to them, they were like,
yeah. But I'm like, guys, I don't think we're actual. But I love them so much, especially now they're working at Top Gun. Jody is amazing, Demi's amazing, and their family, their bond and everything, and seeing Demi and Jody take on their legacy is like really cool. I should probably go over and see them more because I'm very close to them and I do love Top Gun very much.
yeah, stop by, say hi to your cousins.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And it's great that you had them to like, you
Mhm.
know, talk and someone who was sharing the same experience. So
Yeah.
so you've been around stars, like you said, your whole life growing up, you were at the gym all the time. What was it like for you making stars in like your first year on the team?
So I remember Juliet Bronaszewski. She was like my babysitter for like 3 years of my life. And I remember her leopard bow. That's all I wanted. Like that leopard bow was like everything to me. The whole idea of making shooting stars to me, I was very nervous and like I didn't know how it was going to be because I never was coached by my mother and grandmother. I didn't know if it was going to be like they were going to be really hard on me or is like because at the time I didn't tumble, so all I really had was my flying. And I got very lucky because they were so lenient on my end. They kind of avoided me at all costs because we had our other coaches. We had Parky, we had Ty, and those were my coaches. Like those
Mhm.
were the people correcting me. Like Ty was on my booty. Like he did not
Hi.
hesitate. Like he would even like when at practice, if I called my mom, like mom, like and not like Coach Joelle, he'd be like, "We're at practice. Like she's not your mom." I'm like, this is crazy. I would say like for the most part, I mean my grandma was always like my number one supporter. She was always cheering me on, no matter if I was falling on my face or in the air.
Oh, I love
Because
that.
if they were hard on me, I couldn't imagine the stress on top of like already being on that team.
I was talking to Tony actually about this. I mean, it's a little different because it's your mom and grandma, but
Yeah.
but we were just saying, I thought like Elaine and Joelle did a great job knowing what athletes need.
That's like 100% so true because especially with my grandma too, like we
Mm,
always say she knows when because our shooting stars is the type of team that like we're not the team to go full out 9 times.
no.
Like we are more like a one and done or like two, maybe two at most three, but
Mhm.
like nowadays they do more, but like she always knew, still now, she always knows when like enough is enough and like you're overworking these girls. Because at a point, like doing those reps, it only causes you to kind of get injured. Just more injuries happen. And
It
yeah,
even creates a lot of tension on the
yeah, I
team.
would say like the one thing like throughout the years of me cheering, like we never did like reps like that. Like yeah, we did like our little circle and like we would, do it all around and
Mhm.
a couple times like warm it up, but nothing like over like the top. But thank God. But we did do those snakes that they don't do anymore,
I
which
used to love those.
I don't know why, but when I go to the gym, I say, why don't we do these anymore? I
Yeah.
said, that is what put our butts into shape. There was nothing worse than doing those things.
Okay, I like tumbling to the snakes, which is crazy of me, but
Yeah.
I'm crazy. But when we had to do like the
The
bears,
bear crawls, the frog jumps.
it's the one thing that I didn't like. I'm not keeping this, or maybe I will. I don't know. When Miss P said mark through, but it wasn't a mark through. It was
Oh, and she always would say mark through, but she'd be like, do the jumps, do the pyramid. She would always do that.
there was one time she actually stopped the music.
There's
Like mark through. No, I do remember those. I was like, this means I have to go full out again.
Yeah. I love when she does like she's counting and she'll be counting slow and she goes all the way through 10 and we're like No, stop sitting, Graham.
I saw that you went to a Twinkles practice. I saw the photos with you. I mean, Andrea's their coach.
Yeah.
So tell me what that was like.
So what's actually cool is that the kids that I coached on Twilights, I coached the Twilights like 4 or 5 years ago for 2 seasons. Those kids, like literally a handful of them are now Twinkles. So they do know who I am. And
Oh,
but the girls do know the whole twinkle chasing perfection thing because of Andrea, obviously. But it was so nice to see, especially Andrea coaching now. It was like a full circle moment. I was like, how are we here right now? I wish Andrea and them the best this season
oh,
because
I'm so excited that the Twinkles are back. When I saw that, I was like, when's the last time you seen the documentary?
I want to say not too long ago because I do watch it like once because I'm just like, it's kind of cute. And like sometimes like my friends, especially now since I live in Miami, um, I have new friends down here and it's kind of hard to explain the past 15 years of my life
Pull it up on YouTube.
with cheerleading and like, what World Cup really is and what competitive cheerleading is. Really outlines my life.
I do the same thing because sometimes people ask me, they're like, why are people following you? And
Yeah.
I'm like, just, I was in a documentary.
I
Here it
know.
is. If you
The
want to.
one thing I regret is I deleted my Instagram. I had so many followers, and the year after my first year on Stars, I deleted my Instagram because it was the year after that meme of me falling at NCA went viral. And that's when I was like, I cannot take this anymore. So I kind of went on like I'm just deleting everything. Like
Yeah.
I just wanted a social, like I made a new Instagram, I made it private. I'm like, I'm not letting anyone from cheerleading follow me. Like I was so traumatized by that in like a light way. Anything I posted, like even like like a bikini or whatever it may be, like it was always taken in the wrong way.
I
Yeah.
understand. Like being scrutinized online is never fun. And like you knew yourself well enough to be like, no,
Yeah.
this is my own social media. You don't get to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And I want to censor myself for my own mental health. Like that
Yeah.
makes sense. And to be fair, my Instagram with all my followers that I didn't delete, I only get like 300 likes
Yeah, no,
now.
I mean the Instagram algorithm nowadays is so messed up.
Well, one thing that I love from the documentary that you do is the twist twist pool.
Just look at me. No. I'm not. Can I just wiggle it? No. I swear on my life I only wiggle it. Can I just see it? Turn, pull. Do you know what sign language is?
Yeah, I know. I was just
That was
talking
great.
the other day. That was a moment.
You never followed me around throughout the season, but you were followed the whole
Yeah,
year.
no, I was definitely, I don't remember as much. Watching back, I'm like, damn, they were there when I was getting tutored. They were there when like me and Andre were getting ready for our competitions. We were pretty much on camera most of the time. I don't really remember much of being filmed because I was just a little kid living in the
Yeah.
moment, having so
Hmm.
much fun being a twinkle because that was like my favorite years of all time.
Yeah, no, same here. I just remember, well, I don't even remember the filming. I just remember like the photographer fell down the stairs at my house.
Oh my god.
The floor, like my mom had the floors waxed or whatever. So
Yeah.
you just hear like a dum dum dum. Those are my core memories from film.
Yeah.
Twinkles that will last forever.
Sometimes like I kind of forget about how much of a big like time it was. I also think we kind of forget about it because it was such a young time
Hmm.
of our life. I mean, like I feel like those are like the last years you start like really having full memory of like what
Hmm.
went on. We just had so much fun, especially our team, like in general. Like
Hmm.
I don't know what it was about like that year in Twinkles, obviously because we had cameras on us and we had that all that attention from everybody. But I think overall just the people and the athletes that were on that team made it for what it was. I give credit to every single one of us. 'Cause
We looked great for youthful 5, like
driving around town with the girl.
no, not my.
Forget me. It's the only dance I like kind of remember. Changing my
Fucking
wasn't.
yeah. Oh my god. All right. Moving on from Twinkles. I mean, Elaine and Joelle, they're constantly innovating. I kind of talked about this on another podcast about we just finished Worlds, just finished competing, and I remember Joelle being like, we're doing Jersey Boys or something like they already kind of know.
Their theme. Are you asking like what, like how they get
Yeah. Yeah, what goes into that behind the scenes?
I think it goes in like definitely like what's trending in that time. Maybe something that has like a meaning or something that like shooting stars or like we could relate to in a way. But it is getting so much harder nowadays. Like
Mhm.
what they're doing America now or something. I didn't even know that. I just became aware of it like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, didn't you guys just do that like 2 years ago? But no, it was Wonder Woman. I'm sorry. So I'm sorry, it was Wonder Woman. I can't keep up based off of what's trending. And if it's something like Dancing with the Stars, like obviously that had to do with shooting stars.
Personally, I
I
think that's the
love
best
that
one.
year. That was like one of my, yeah, that was one of my favorite years. But yeah, I was actually asking my mom the other day, I was like, where do you get these ideas from? And she's like, I don't know. And she's like, whatever's like going on and like whatever, like Lady Gaga. I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, you're obviously not the trendsetter.
I swear to God, The Greatest Showman wasn't out. Like
Mhm.
they decided the theme before that movie was even out.
Yeah,
How
that
did
was,
they do that? That's
I don't
witchcraft.
know. I don't know, like, but that's what I say about my grandmother, like that she's a wizard. She like her words of wisdom, like her, like, I don't know. I just feel like she has such a impact.
Hmm.
Her ideas and like she's just so creative. It's tough hitting and they haven't had the best past couple years, but at the end of the day, what they're doing is so hard and I don't think anybody understands that really. But the skills they have, they do and they need and the amount it's just so much different. And the score sheet, it's like such a different ball game. Yeah, I wish cheerleading the best from here on out because I
Okay.
could never. This kind of falls into like why I'm not pursuing World Cup. So it's not that I don't want to pursue it later on sometime in my life, but it's just something, especially it's so different nowadays. It's not like when we were on the team and like not even just varsity, just everything, the scoring, the athletes, the parents, just everything is just so different now. I will always be attached to my name and I will always be a part of it. I will never not support. I love going to World Cup just like I was spending my last weekend there. But it's something I could never see myself committing to. I'm so defensive as a person and I have such like strong feelings on how cheerleading is navigated nowadays. It kind of boggles my mind a little bit and I don't agree with a lot that goes on. And sometimes like when we're at Worlds and I'm like sitting with my mom and my grandma and they're reading the score sheets and they're just reading, I'm like, how are you not like mad about this? That's just how cheerleading works now. And it makes me so upset going to these things now because I'm like, it's so unfair to these kids. And now seeing it from like an outside point of view, like you really put your all into those 2 days, just like all year. And when you get there and like, even if you hit and you think you do a perfect routine, there's always like that one judge or like that one legality or like the
Yeah.
one like, something that they will use.
Kind of got your answer, but your thoughts on the new theme. Shooting Star's new theme is America.
Yeah, America. What is it like? I guess they're doing, I don't know.
Like picture. I was gonna also ask you if you've seen the routine or anything.
Okay, yes, I have seen the
Okay.
routine.
Do you have a favorite section? Without getting into detail?
Probably their stunt, because that's done. I can't even explain it. So
There we go.
they definitely have the skill, and they have a real, I would say this year, like the girls are very cute and like very like giddy about being a shooting star. Like they're very happy to be there. And like
Young team, right? From
what?
It's
Young?
the young team.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
young.
When is kickoff? Where is kickoff? And are you going to be there?
Kickoff, I want to say, is the weekend before Thanksgiving. And am I going? No, I wish I was. I just started a new job out here in Miami, so I can't attend, unfortunately. But I wish I could. But I will be watching on if they have any live thing or whatever it is.
I remember when live stream was a big thing, like
Oh yeah.
2014. It was like, it was so blurry. You couldn't see anything.
Literally.
Okay, well that's good. Well, if you're in New Jersey, anyone who's watching, go watch Stars.
Yeah.
And World Cup, all of World Cup. For those of the people who don't know, Gianna is a fashion, would I say queen? Yeah, you're a fashion queen. So my question for you is, did your exposure to fashion, was it through like your mom working with uniforms?
So I'll definitely have to say my mom has a huge impact on my love for fashion. I mean, besides uniforms and World Cup, she just always had such a great sense of style, and she was always into all that stuff. So I got into it at such a young age, and I blame her to this day for my shopping addiction, which she doesn't take blame for, which is crazy. But no, definitely. And then I got involved with varsity fashion. I think I started when I was probably 13, 12, 13, and I did it for 4 years. And that I got into the like seeing the behind the scenes of the uniforms and like all the different types of uniforms and the practice wear. So that was really interesting to me. And that's when I started realizing, I was like, oh my gosh, I really do love doing this stuff. I knew that I was not into like designing. I would have to say, so during the uniform process designing, my mom has the two designers from varsity and Jessica come to our house, and they do like a 2 day like full, like they have the coaches from the teams come in and they do the full design process. And I always like sat there and watched, and I was like, this is like the coolest thing ever. And I think what I was so avoidant on getting more involved in that was because I didn't want to have any part in cheerleading. But now like later on in my life, I do work in like the nightlife industry and like in events and stuff. So, and I see like the bartenders and the servers, and I like see what they're wearing. I'm like, I want to make them uniforms. I'm like, I literally have the perfect like connect for this. Like this would work. Like I talked to like Leslie Stanley. She's like, I'm so in on that. I'm like, this really would be like so perfect for me because I do enjoy working with uniforms. I mean, they're so beautiful, they're so fun. I mean, the rhinestones, the different prints, especially nowadays, there's so much stuff to play with. It's just always something that just made me so happy. And it's one thing that, people always realize about me, that I do take a lot of pride in what I wear and how I style myself. But it is something that I choose to carry on with what I'm going to do.
Did you get to design a little bit of the 2016 uni?
No,
Or
so the only uniform that I had like kind of a little bit of like a say in or like idea was my Odyssey uniform, was the gray. When you remember when we did the gray?
yes, yeah, it looks so good.
I pushed for the gunmetal gray, like,
Oh, I love that.
because I always wanted Stars to do a dark uniform, a black
Yes.
uniform, but they never would. So I'm like, I just want a dark uniform. So that was the only one. I think I didn't really think of it like to help as much when I was younger, or like even now, like sometimes I see it happening. Something about me and my mom, we have such different tastes and senses of style. So I'd be like, I've been telling them for years, I'm like, please do the black uniform. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but they're doing black uniforms this year.
Okay, I won't put it in, but
I don't know.
wait, they're not or they are?
They're doing black uniforms.
Yeah.
So when my mom told me, I'm like, you're doing this now? I'm like, you're doing this. We begged and begged. Like, and I'm like kind of a fan. I'm like, Mom, you should be asking. I'm like, at this point, like I would love to help, but no, you know, she's been doing it. She loved that's one thing she actually has a lot of fun doing. So
I was always gung-ho for a dark uniform. They had
Yeah.
a couple back in the day. Never like full black, but
full black. They always had the white chest with
yes.
always.
Did you ever help with voiceovers or like songs?
No, but I wish, and thank you for mentioning that because I'm gonna actually have a talk with my mom about that. Because I want to do that, and
Yeah,
I
you
think
should.
I have a kind of a good
I think you'd be great at it. Little quips, little
fun, you know.
Yeah. I did them all the time. I remember ties.
Oh yeah, I mean, how could you forget? Ty was
No,
a-
I could never forget.
still does them to this day. Like,
Does he? I didn't even
Yeah.
know that.
no, he does. If you go to Stars Music last year, it's all my mom and Ty.
I noticed your mom.
And my grandma. My grandma
Yeah.
did the shooting star.
Stars.
You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I loved their music towards the end of the season last year. That was honestly
That was a good mix.
my mom's voiceover was great. Her little accent. I'm like, you really did the part. You did it.
You did it. Well done. Now we need to get you on a mix.
For real.
Last question that I ask everyone is favorite all-star routine of all time and favorite stars routine of all time.
Okay, well, favorite stars routine has to be like Lola or like
2010.
Dola at the Prada Fulia. That was like definitely one of my more
Is that 2011?
I have no clue. Favorite routine overall. I can't choose honestly, but like TGLC has just always been like my ride or die team. But one year, SSX.
Oh,
What was their like famous like saying? Remember, you gotta remember at least what I'm talking about. They had like okay, so whatever year that was, I was probably a twinkle. Oh no, I was probably a starlight.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Grant Gibbs did something to their dance, I think, this year.
I know they used to have like, I don't know, but that was always a team, but definitely TGLC, you know, they never disappoint. They're just everything about them is actual perfection. Like
That's
I
very
remember
true.
years that they would score like 100.
Yes. At like NCA. Like not just like a little it was like NCA.
Literally, and they just never fail to blow my mind. So
Well, that's all my questions that I have for you. You're always welcome to come on, so just send me a text.
Yeah.
But on the recording, but thank you so much for coming on and spending the time talking.
Appreciate it so much. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I had so much fun catching up with Gianna. She is the sweetest. For our next video, I haven't interviewed anyone yet. So if anyone has ideas of people for me to reach out to, please comment below. I do reach out to a bunch of the girls that you guys put down below. So yeah, I also want to try and get some present stars on. Let me know what you guys think of the video. Please like, subscribe, all of Gianna's social media platforms, which will be linked down below, and also subscribe and like the video. That's all I got for you today. Love you lots. Kiss, kiss. Bye, guys.